We've been tracking moisture from Juliette. Not so much here in Phoenix. This is just your typical monsoonal rain that we've been seeing in the desert Southwest, and it's been quite active, the monsoon, Monday into Tuesday, weaning a little bit for Wednesday, and as a result, we've seen very much needed rain. In fact, Phoenix dealing with a little bit of a deficit when it comes to that rainfall. But when we talk about tracking the moisture from Juliette, which is no longer a tropical storm, you have to watch how that moisture gets strung out and stretched out and into the United States. And first up is California, Southern California. We've been talking about this and even mentioned it yesterday. Noticing right now that's not what I want. Right now over Southern California, portions of San Diego County, we're seeing that rainfall. It is not heavy compared to what we're seeing in areas further off to the east. But San Diego doesn't typically see rain in August. So it's notable just on that account. But a reminder, whenever we have even a decaying tropical system, sometimes the upper level winds can scoop up that moisture and transport it onto land.
And a hat tip to you. Kicking off this week, noticing the overall synoptic pattern, recognizing there's a low, and you're like, is that Juliette?
Wait a minute.
and sure enough, seeing some of that moisture. I mean, to your point, this isn't heavy, but it is anomalous. It's unique because we're probably in San Diego today going to see a month's worth of rain in a few hours.
Which isn't difficult to do.
No, when it's just 1/100th of an inch of rain. 0.01 inches is all that they average.
I think, and overall, San Diego, Southern California started to dry out a little bit with that trough. You had drier air getting scooped into the southern part of the California, but moisture from Juliette filling in on some of that. So I was curious if we'd be able to kind of saturate that profile enough to get it to the surface. And I think we will. That's where Juliette is located. And the movement, again, is all about the moisture and how that tracks. And actually, just follow the blue. And that's what we're going to be watching into tonight and maybe perhaps into the weekend.
And it disperses pretty quickly.
It does.
A pretty powerful trough here, and that jet streak that we have, the subtropical jet, is evident when we look at the winds. So that's going to disperse that moisture real quick. And I know that there's even been some debates, could you really attribute this to Juliette? I'd say yes. I mean, it's not going to be the tropical downpours that you would expect. But the National Weather Service out of San Diego talking about some of that moisture even yesterday, the cloud cover that was moving in. So that gets ingested. It just continues to keep things unsettled in the Southwest.
Noticing there's no flood concern in Southern California for today, which speaks to some of the lightness of the rain. But noticing as we get further into Saturday, we do, again, have flood concerns for portions of the Southwest, maybe Texas, because of that stalling boundary. You have monsoonal moisture still that's just going to be present. But ultimately, tracking this, Fox model really wants to shade some green over Southern California.
Kind of been liking that solution. Right? We saw that yesterday too. But the spin, notice, this has nothing to do with that remnant low. I mean, the actual spin associated with what will soon be remnant Juliette, that's going to remain in the Pacific. But getting some of that moisture to sling farther to the north. And in fact, this moisture transport that we see in the west, it has far-reaching tentacles. I mean, it goes all the way up to near the Canadian border.
Also true. True. As Stephen always says, it's fluid, the atmosphere, right? There's no sharp cutoff. To your point, when you brought up earlier, 1/100th of an inch is what San Diego typically sees for rainfall for the month of August. It's the least rainy month of the year. And when we talk about San Diego, again, Fox model really liking some of that rainfall in through the afternoon and then really drying up. In terms of, I asked Matthew Blue, our meteorologist over here, I was like, do we have a QPF? He said, wasn't that impressive, but he pulled it for us.
He didn't give you just like that, what do they call it, the Gen Z stare, just this staring at you, not saying anything?
He did that too, and I think he kind of pursed his lips a little bit.
All right, but less than a half an inch.
Less than half an inch, but again, even if you get 1/4 of an inch or 1/10 of an inch, that is more than what San Diego typically sees for the month of August.
Month's worth of rain.
Month's worth of rain.
Still valid.
Just such a small number compared to what else we look at typically on any given rainy event.